The stage is set for a corking day of MotoE action coming from the Red Bull Ring in Austria. The electric class has welcomed 4 different winners in 2025 so far, and with a jumbled up grid and a 3rd different pole sitter of the season, perhaps we'll get a 5th different winner. Buckle up! MotoE's Wild Ride in Race 1 is coming next. Good morning, and it has just ticked into the afternoon. Hello and welcome here to the Red Bull Ring, trackside and live for the 3rd round of the MotoE World Championship. Don't adjust your TV sets, it is a little bit dark outside, and though in our luck it will now absolutely choose to hose it down. But we're braced for that up here in commentary. You're joining myself, Kiko Giles. Next to me is my good friend and esteemed colleague, Neil Morrison. And down there somewhere is just my esteemed colleague, Elliot York. He's going to be taking you through the grid and pit lane very, very shortly. Neil, we had qualifying yesterday. Let's get straight into it. Brilliant stuff from Matteo Ferrari to take pole position. A nightmare for your championship leader, Andrea Mantovani, his worst qualifying of the year. He could have really done without that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello to everyone watching. We are at round 3 of the MotoE World Championship. Sounds a little bit strange to be saying that in the middle of August, but we do have a hectic period of MotoE action coming up. 4 rounds, in 5 weekends. And you really feel that the championship is getting underway now in the middle of August, starting here at the Red Bull Ring. But you're absolutely right, Kiko. We did have a few turn-ups in qualifying yesterday, not least Matteo Ferrari taking his first pole position since, 2023, and championship leader Andrea Mantovani on the back of the 4th row of the grid. So we should have 2 very, very interesting races coming up here today.
I think we're in for a cracker. Of course, this one getting underway in about 8 minutes time, and you can join us live as well later on, 4 o'clock for race 2. Of course, in MotoE race day is Saturday, and in case you're going to have withdrawal symptoms between now and the next round, you don't have to wait too much longer. We're going to Balaton Park next weekend, a new track for everybody here going to Hungary. There will be one rider in the MotoE field who knows that. That is Maria Herrera, of course, from her experience in the Women's World Championship. But besides that, new horizons and new destinations next week. But here it's a famed battleground. The Red Bull Ring has seen so many battles before, and I think this time we are going to see plenty more. MotoE, it's going to be 7 laps of action. That is not a long race at all, but it's going to be busy.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think this was the penultimate round of 2024 when we came to the Austrian Grand Prix of the MotoE World Championship, and it was a very critical one for the championship. Could we see something similar happening here today?
I'll tell you who we do see. We see Elliot York just parked up on pole position. He's, of course, getting ready to chat to our superstar from yesterday. El, take it away.
Yeah, Matteo down here on the grid on pole position. How are you feeling after yesterday? What's the strategy for this race? Any nerves, more excitement, I'm guessing?
For sure, I'm super excited after a long time. Really nice to be in front row. We worked a lot yesterday. I think we arrive in a good position. We have a good feeling with the bike, a good balance. So we have to be focused all the race, stay calm, because also the other riders are very fast in the 4th row. So yeah, we are there all the race. We have to stay in the front.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
First pole since Italy 2023. It's his first front row since Assen, I think it was, 2023. Over 2 years ago, Matteo Ferrari going for pole. Second, we had a look at Mattia Casadei. He's one of the highest placed of the championship contenders, but it's a 2nd front row in 3 for Eric Granado. He needs this result, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. Great to see Eric back on the grid and looking a lot more closer to full race fitness than we saw in Assen previously for round 2. He was still coming back from that broken leg he sustained at Le Mans earlier this year. Also good to see this rider looking a lot more like his full fitness self. Hector Garza has had a very troubled start to 2025, but looking a lot more like it here, Kiko.
First time back in the top 4 since this place last year. Red Bull Ring P2 he was on the grid, so he likes it up here, doesn't he?
He does indeed, and he won race 2 last year, which was pretty much him putting one hand on the championship.
And I think we can hear from the man himself, not just Elliot York, but Hector Garza is with him.
Yeah, we can. Hector, how are you feeling? Spearheading Road 2, must be more confident than you were back before the summer break, worked on the fitness.
Well, happy to be back on the front. Hopefully we will fight for the top. I hope to keep my rhythm, keep fighting, and let's see what the race becomes. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks very much, Elliot. Thanks as well to Hector Garzo. Can we see a return to winning ways for the Spaniards in today's race?
Lorenzo Baldassarri, sorry Neil to come across on you, just while we've got him, crashed on his way to 5th, but 5th is still a personal best, so I think Baldassarri, dark horse for this one.
Yep, he joined the Turn 6 club yesterday, which caught out Kevin Zanoni as well in Q1. He's another rider that's going to be starting way back on the grid. Kevin Zanoni will be back in 18th at the very back of the grid. So, yeah, Lorenzo Baldassarri did kind of get away with one, didn't he? Could have been a lot worse for him after he crashed out in the second flying lap, but thankfully he'd put that banker in at the start of qualifying too and ended up 5th.
Yellow flag city yesterday. Alessandro Zacconi had to wait a few laps to get one banked, but he did indeed get there in the end. 6th place for Zacconi on the grid. He's second in this championship, but he didn't fully capitalise on Andrea Mantovani's misfortunes.
Yeah, he hasn't quite been his same swashbuckling self that we saw at Assen, where he took a 2nd place and a victory. Zacconi, real track specialist at Assen. Not quite the same here, but he is sitting 2nd in the championship and could emerge as championship leader from race 1 if he plays his cards right.
Jordi Torres, this is his worst qualifying of the year, and this will be his 60th start in the class, if my statistical research is correct. The 37-year-old, he's one of the older statesmen in the class, but he's still looking at podiums and wins, isn't he?
Yeah, he is indeed. Torres, as ever, is complaining a bit of a lack of top speed, but he should be strong here today.
Matteo Ferrari goes from pole. They're all chasing him. MotoE, the heavens, will they hold off? Will they open? We're about to find out. It's not long round here, just about 30 kilometres for the MotoE field to tackle here at the Red Bull Ring. Matteo Ferrari on pole for the first time in over 2 years. Matteo Casadei on the front row, Granado there as well. We've gone through the front 7 on the grid. A welcome return to Oscar Gutierrez in 8th place in the middle of the 3rd row, and it's a best qualifying effort ever for a Hungarian rider, and indeed Tibor Erik Varga. Not bad, a week ahead of his home round as well. So keep it on the number 47. He had great pace, and unfortunate perhaps to end up only on the 3rd row. He could have been a bit higher. Spinelli crashed yesterday in qualifying. He starts 10th. Jacopo Hosjuk was so close yet so far. He goes from the middle of the 4th row. Championship leader Andrea Mantovani is going to need to put on a special show, but he's done it before. He won last time out at Assen. He goes from 12th. Finello, Maria Herrera, who was inside the top 10 here last year, and Luca Bernardi complete the 5th row before Raffaele Fusco, Tommaso Occhi and Kevin Zanoni without a qualifying time. That's your grid, and expect fireworks, particularly from Kevin Zanoni, who is in this title race. Let's be fair about it. He could do without too many more qualifyings down on the 6th row, though.
Yeah, he's 6th in the championship is Zanoni, so watch out for him coming through from the back of the grid, the 6th row, and also Andrea Mantovani, as we previously mentioned. We spoke to Mantovani briefly yesterday, or El did, down in pit lane. He said it's not quite his favourite track, but he's going to be more on the defensive than on the attack this weekend. Watch out for him. Maybe we'll see the best of him in Hungary next week.
It is a 13-point lead for Andrea Mantovani in the top of the title standings. Zacconi is 2nd. Torres is a fine 3rd, 20 points covering your top 3. Then it's Lorenzo Baldassarri, the best of the rookies. Matteo Casadei, who goes from the middle of that front row, rounds out the top 5.
1 minute until race start. It's that time, Kiko. Who you have down for a victory in this one?
I'm going to go safe here because you've thrown it to me first. Matteo Casadei, purely because he has got pace. He's a bit out of position in the championship, and he is not surrounded by what you would consider title contenders, at least after the first 4 races. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go a bit of a dark horse. Zacconi in 6th. I can see him coming through, fighting for victory.
And let's just check that our pit lane reporter is listening. Elliot, what about your predictions?
I was going to go Zacconi, but I'll go Granado just to spice things up.
Wow, that's a few more Brazilian fans in the bank of Elliot York, isn't it? Of course, you'll be hearing from us all right the way through. Me and Neil Morrison taking you through the live action up here. El getting all of the reaction down in pit lane. But 7 laps of MotoE, race 1 here, of 2 coming up today, and this is going to be a very, very interesting affair. Will we get away with this in the dry, or is it going to start raining? Starters orders, the red flag is being moved to one side, and the green flag waves. That means that when the lights go out, we are underway, and MotoE Race 1 is already up towards the first turn here at the Niki Lauda corner, and it is Matteo Ferrari who squeezes down the inside to hold his advantage. Up into third is Hector Garzo. Brilliant start from the second row of the grid from the reigning champion. Casadei has held second down to the chicane for the first time. Now hold your breath, because this can be really tricky on the opening lap, but it looks like we're all going through really cleanly. Good start as well from one of the snipers machines. I think it was Tibor Eric Varga up inside the top 8 from 9th on the grid. Casadei looking up the inside, thinking better of it at turn 3 for the first time. Let's hope they all get through. It looks like they have. Ferrari, Casadei, Garzo, your top 3.
Yeah, Eric Granado loses a spot. He had a pretty bad start off the grid, loses 1 place to Hector Garzo, who jumped up into third. And look at Baldassarri now in the attack down into turn 4.
And look at Casadei on the attack up into turn 4. So brilliant stuff from Casadei. He hits the front, so he's doing what exactly he needed to, because Andrea Mantovani's made 1 position. That's only 11th for him. But at the moment, Casadei be taking chunks. Oh, no, he wouldn't be, because he's down. Matteo Casadei has made a massive error, and that is the second time in 3 races where Matteo Casadei has crashed out of the lead, and he knows that was an enormous error to be making on lap 1 of race 1 here in Austria.
Yeah, you cannot be making those kinds of mistakes regularly at the front of MotoE races. And as you said, Kiko, that's the second time in 3 races that Casadei has crashed out of the lead. A massive error and a massive opportunity missed for him to gain some massive ground in the championship.
Oh, don't go near him. Do not go near Matteo Casadei. He is going to be fuming after that. I tell you what, the Liquid Moly Dynamo intact boys, they'll be very happy with this, because Garzo's up in second. Balda is third. Now, he took his first podium last time out at Assen, so keep an eye on him through turn 1. Ferrari's leading, and he's got just under a second of an advantage.
One of the big movers on the first lap is the number 99 of Oscar Gutierrez, currently sat in 5th, 4th place in this battle for second. He jumped up from 8th on the grid. The other way around, Jordi Torres got a terrible start and is back in 9th after he qualified 7th yesterday.
Let's just give you a rundown then of your main contenders. Ferrari, it is who leads after Casadei's crash at turn 6. Garzo second, Baldassarri third, Granado down to 4th, Gutierrez up to 5th, as you said, Neil. Great spot there. Zacconi has held 6th, 7th for Tibor Eric Varga, 8th for Spinelli. Torres and Mantovani now into the top 10 ahead of Alessio Finello, who's leading the chasing pack behind. Granado getting ahead of Baldassarri. That is for third.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think that was Tibor Eric Varga, who was battling with Zacconi down into turn 4. Looked as though the Hungarian just went a little bit wide. Hector Garzo kept it nice and clean coming out of turn 4. I think he got it lit up and lost the rear temporarily last time around. No such dramas on this. It's a 9/10 of a second advantage for Matteo Ferrari out front, and he's holding that as it stands on lap 2.
Very good stuff indeed from Ferrari. Oh, a bit of a head shake there from Granado, but he keeps it all on the island as they drop down towards the Jochenrink curve for the second time of asking. It is still Ferrari who leads, and that looked like it was Spinelli who's got now Mantovani knocking on his door. So Mantovani versus Spinelli, 8th versus 9th. They were battling for podiums a few weeks ago at Assen. It just shows how competitive MotoE is. Across the line, Eric Granado, your sole LCR E-team representative with the fastest lap of the race, as he is in third and stuck behind the number 1 of Hector Garzo. That's a move being made by Tibor Eric Varga. I think he tried slipping up the inside of Zacconi and ended up going out wide himself. So 7th place for the number 47.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on Eric Granado. He is the rider on a move at the moment, the fastest rider on track, 1/10 of a second quicker than he was, that he was of the race leader. I'll get my words out eventually. Mantovani is having a decent race, coming through from 12th. He's already up into 9th. Jordi Torres, though, is having an absolute nightmare. He made a real mess of the final turn coming out the last time around. Currently back in 10th. He's lost a place to the championship leader.
The bigger riders are at a disadvantage here on the point and square. Red Bull Ring as Oscar Gutierrez just about gets the job done. That's to come through on Baldassarri. Baldassarri is no slouch, and he's coming through at turn 5 as he thinks better of it. Turn 6, don't try anything desperate here. You can't be a hero, but you can definitely go to 0. We've seen that already with Matteo Casadei. So that's a good move from Gutierrez on his comeback race up into 4th. I was just going to say the bigger riders are at a disadvantage. Andrea Mantovani Mantovani and Geordie Toast both spoke to me about that one inside the E paddock on Thursday evening. Round here, long straights and hard braking, it's just not the forte of big, tall and broad riders, so they are on the defensive, but they're doing all right. It's 9th and 10th at the moment. Mantovani, particularly your championship leader coming into this one, would have liked to have been a bit further up, but he's on the tail of Nicola Spinelli. That's over 8th place. Ferrari, your fastest lap of the race, a 38.1. That's going some serious speed indeed, and he's just pulled out that advantage to 1.1 seconds over your reigning champion, Hector Garzo.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Ferrari. That's about 0.2 of a second slower than his pole time from yesterday, which incidentally was a new lap record at this track for MotoE. Baldassarri has a look on Gutierrez going into turn 2, but the number 99 holds strong. You have to say this is a brilliant comeback ride for Gutierrez. He broke his hip in 9 places in that horrible smash at Le Mans earlier this year. He also broke a bone in his lower back. He also had surgery on his wrist recently as well. He has been in the wars, and for him to be back here, I think, is one thing, but to be performing like this is another.
He is really looking at a podium, isn't he? It's a very, very strong and determined ride from Oscar Gutierrez. Let's hope he hasn't worn himself out, because he's got another 7 laps to do later. Squeezing through up the inside. Well, Tibor Ekvarga has been something of a sensation this weekend, and he is hustling about here on the back end of Zacconi. That's coming to 4. He got the job done originally, and then he got repassed. He had a look up the inside at 6, but we've seen how tricky that can be, and he thinks better of it. But this is an inspired ride from the Hungarian 18-year-old.
Yeah, definitely the best we've seen of Varga so far in MotoE in 2025. Just looking at the leaders, and Matteo Ferrari stretched his lead out last lap by 0.2 of a second to 1.1 seconds. It's back down to 1 second currently, so it's kind of holding station out front between Ferrari and Garzo.
It's oscillating by the sector. That'll be riders just having their strengths at different points of this circuit. We're coming across the line again. Let's see what it is. I think it's 1.1. Indeed it is, as they come through the sharp 1.144 between Ferrari and Hector Garzo. So not a lot of time being made up by the reigning champion, who of course is seeking that first podium of the year, because he was injured back at Le Mans and he didn't make too many inroads back in his comeback ride at Assen. He's been since under the knife. He has had surgery during the summer. We're talking about the Hector Garzo number 1. So Garzo back to something nearer to full fitness in comparison to before the testing season. Side by side, Varga versus Zacconi again. This is about the 3rd attempt for Varga. He was briefly ahead, but Zacconi knows that in this title fight, and with Mantovani downfield, he can't give up any extra points. But look at Tibor Varga. He got great drive coming out of turn 3 all the way down the straight, and that surely should be 6th place now for the Hungarian. Zacconi in deep, and where's that going to leave him? Spinelli had a little close in on the brakes, but he couldn't get it done. Varga up into the top 6. Great ride.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Varga, and this fight between himself and Zacconi is playing right into the hands of the championship leader Andrea Mantovani, who's still stuck there in 9th behind Spinelli, but he can see 6th place just up ahead. He'll have to get very aggressive in these last couple of laps to make it happen. Just checking in on the battle at the front, you can see Matteo Ferrari has stretched his lead out by 1/10 of a second, so you'd have to say he's in a very comfortable position at the moment, and maybe Hector Garzo isn't the rider, after all the injuries he's suffered so far this year, that's in a position to really launch a super late attack.
Matteo Ferrari looking very comfortable, isn't he, Neil, at the front of this group? You can see the gap illustrated on your screen. The battle here is for 2nd place between Garzo and Granado. Gutierrez with the fastest lap of the race, a 38.016, so we're getting close to that pole time, aren't we? Gutierrez hasn't given up on the podium here. He's lying in 4th at the minute. He's got Lorenzo Baldassarri all over him, but Baldassarri has dropped back a little bit from his early momentum in his first attempt on lap 1 to get up into the podium positions, but he's still hanging in there in 5th place. I think further back we've got Andrea Mantovani, now ahead of Nicolas Spinelli, and that, ironically, despite the 6 grid positions that were between both of them on the grid, Zacconi is now just 1 ahead on the road of the All Championship leader. Bit of a moment there for Gutierrez coming out of turn 3, but he keeps it on the island.
Yeah, but with the top 2 in the championship down in 7th and 8th in this race, it is going to give the likes of Ferrari, Garzo and Granado a bit of an in the championship fight going forward. As I said at the top of the show, it does feel like the championship is really starting now, and if you can go on a bit of a run from this race weekend, you really are going to put yourself in a good position for the championship. You can see Eric Granado looks very comfortable sat there behind Hector Garzo. I think he might just be watching the Spaniard from behind and maybe planning a bit of a late race attack. You can see he's very close coming through the second of the left-handers here at turn 7, then they turn right on the switch back into turn 8. Eric Granado is starting to maybe line up a bit of a move.
He's building momentum, isn't he, up over the top of the hill? Will he want to blink first here? He has a look, but Garzo very strong on the brake. So despite Garzo maybe not being at full fitness, he's really pushing the boat out. You see how much these MotoE bikes move around under power. Now, coming out of turn 10, we're going to start the last lap. It is going to look like a race for second unless we have a big chunk of drama late on for Matteo Ferrari. He's looking like he's got this one done. Up into turn 1, the Niki Lauda corner, and that is Hector Garzo, who just holds on. It was a bit wide. Granado slipstream, but not enough, surely, to get up the inside into the chicane. No, not this time.
Yeah, fastest rider on track last time around, Tibor Erik Varga, having the absolute race of his life here at race 1 in Austria. He's just a little bit back of Baldassarri. I don't think he'll be able to join this fight for second, but we're going to have to keep our eyes on Garzo, Granado, and Oscar Gutierrez is right there in the mix as well.
Tell you what, Varga's lap time of 38.094 is only a few hundreds off the fastest lap of this race, so Varga's got some serious pace. Bit of a breakthrough weekend, you've got to say, for the Hungarian. Neil, we're at turn 4, and Eric Granado is running out of corners here. Where's hot and where's not? Yeah,
well, he did get very close through the two lefts through turn 6 and 7 last time around. He came very, very close to being able to overtake Hector Garzo down into turn 9. I think if there's anywhere on this track that his safest bet, that's probably it.
Oh, I thought that Garzo was just going in a bit deep there. Granado looks like he's slightly overriding through that second sector. We're in the third one now. He's right there, though. This could be a big lunge down in towards turn 9. He was looking like he was setting up last time, but the Brazilian is all over the back of the reigning champion now. 4P2, Granado's going to let the brakes off. Where is this going to end up? Granado goes in early. Does Garzo have the cut back? Yes, he does. Down into turn 10, and that is finally done from Garzo. It's going to be a podium either way, but Matteo Ferrari has been waiting a long time for victory, and he gets it for the first time since Assen in 2023. Matteo Ferrari is a winner again in MotoE. Garzo repaid the compliment to Granado, and it's second and third for them. Gutierrez on his comeback fourth. Baldassarri in fifth, and a career best for Tibor Erik Varga, a fine sixth. But Matteo Ferrari converts pole and takes away 25 World Championship points.
Yeah, absolutely textbook ride from the number 11. Once Mattia Casadei crashed out of the lead early doors, he just managed to put down some fairly relentless pace, and even manages to stand up this Ducati V21L in celebration. Brilliant stuff from Matteo Ferrari. That is like the rider that won the first ever MotoE World Cup back in 2019. Just watching his lap times, Kiko, he was doing 38.1s for fun right the way through. He didn't give the others any chance whatsoever to try and close in. A textbook ride, and he made it look quite simple.
He did. I think it would have been a bit different if Mattia Casadei had kept it upright, but unfortunately he didn't, and that's racing, Neil. You can't make mistakes, and that is why Andrea Mantovani is still going to be your championship leader. We should say that. Mantovani coming through for 8th place from 12th on the grid, and only 1 place behind Zacconi. Zacconi making inroads, but not too many. Only 1 point difference between 7th and 8th. So Mantovani, he was in a world of pain yesterday, and he's come out looking pretty rosy after race 1.
Yeah, he has indeed. He said yesterday this was a damage limitation weekend, and he limited the damage very well in that first race. He's got his lead down to 8 points. We're seeing it, or sorry, to 12 points. We're seeing it on our screens just now. Lovely stuff to see Eric Granado taking his first MotoE podium of 2025. A really complicated year it's been, as we said at the top of the show. And a lovely exchange laid on with Hector Garzo through turns 9 and 10.
I can tell you this is not the last lap as it says on your screen. This is the first lap up in towards turn 1. And Matteo Ferrari, well, he took track position, didn't he, Neil? He didn't get bogged down. And OK, Casadei did come by him up in towards turn 4, but it was this moment that ruled Casadei out. Big moment on the way in, and the front folds, and that bike going nowhere. Casadei is going to have to go again later.
Yeah. Ferrari was thinking at that point, all my Christmases and birthdays have come at once, because Casadei was going to probably take the fight to him right until the checkered flag. But there was that brilliant cutback from Hector Garzo going down into turn number 10. I thought he would be maybe just a little bit wide on exit, but he still had plenty in hand, and he just kept the momentum flowing enough to hold off the Brazilian just behind. 0.05 was the difference between second and third at the checkered flag.
And I tell you what, I make that 10 different podium finishes in 2025 as well, more than 50% of the MotoE field, because of course Ferrari's first win in 2 years, it's his first podium of the year, best of 5th last time out at Assen, was only paired with a 12th, so now a victory. Eric Granado's been injured, but he's now back on the podium. And also for Hector Garzo, another injured rider who came back last time out, but now returns to the rostrum. So a lot to celebrate in race 1 at Austria's MotoE podium.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hector Garzo crashed out, I think, on the first run of the pre-season test, put himself out of that test, then crashed the very start of the French Grand Prix, put himself out of that weekend as well. And then it's fair to say he was pretty far from full fitness at Assen for round 2. So he said this is kind of like the start of his season here in Austria. So really fine performance from Hector. Nice to be reminded as to why he is wearing the #1 plate this year.
Bit of a silly old Hector at the start of the year, wasn't he? But he sorted it out and straightened it out now. Really happy for Eric Granado. We were on air, weren't we, when that crash happened, and it was a real horrible crash for Eric Granado, and brilliant to see him back. He's nowhere near full fitness. He's a lot fitter than he was at Assen, but this is a real result that has come his way, and he might be disappointed not to be P2, but he's going to be on the podium, and it's 16 World Championship points that he has bagged after race 1 here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, you were saying about the podium finishes, the number of different podium finishes we've had so far in 2025, Kiko. 5 different winners from 5 different races as well. Gutierrez, Casadei, Mantovani, Zacconi, and now Ferrari. Could be a record-breaking year in terms of variety in this category.
And I tell you what, Neil, I wouldn't bet against someone else taking the honours later on. Of course, the weather, it has brightened a little bit in the second half of that MotoE race, but I can tell you that it is closing in over the hills and far away. That rain is coming out to play. Eric Granado's coming out to play a first podium of 2025. He's down there with Elliott.
Eric, a great battle there at the end with Hector. Just missed out on P2, but I'm sure you're really pleased with the podium.
Yes, I'm so happy, you know, like I said yesterday, it's been a very tough time for me, you know, the beginning of the season. Just me and the people that work with me knows what have been to me. So difficult, so I'm so happy to be here in the park for me. After all of this and have this fight in the last lap was very good with Hector. I did my best, you know, being in the podium is amazing, first time of the season. I hope I can be here many times this year. So yes, thanks for my team. All the people working with me, my physio, my doctors, everyone, my family, and my girlfriend, you know, this is as for them. So thank you so much. And as always, I need to say in português, eu estou muito feliz de estar aqui de novo no Parque Fermé. Foram meses muito difíceis para mim depois de Le Mans, mas esse resultado é para minha equipe, para minha família, para minha noiva, para meu físico, para meus médicos, todo mundo que esteve trabalhando comigo. Esse é o começo da temporada para mim, então eu estou muito feliz. Obrigado. Beijão.
Great job.
Valeu.
A big result, Neil, there for Eric Granado, back on the podium. A bit of momentum coming into this busy MotoE period.
Yeah, absolutely crucial to get a decent result on the board after a complicated start to the year. And yeah, those words conveying just what he's been through in the last couple of months, trying to get his fitness back up to scratch. A few months back in Brazil during the summer break, and that has done him the world of good. Good to see the number 51 on the podium again.
We need him up there, don't we? We said this yesterday, that front row was really welcomed, and now of course he is on the podium, as is Hector Garzo, a first in his title defence campaign. P2.
Hector, great job. It's been a tough start to your title defence campaign, but that must feel pretty good to be back on the podium and a great fight as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy. I expected a little bit more. I remember yesterday I have a little bit more of pace, but well, instead of that, I'm happy for sure. The comeback after the surgery and all the time suffering is beautiful to be back here. Yesterday I expected a little bit more also, but well, I'm happy for this, happy for the team, happy to make the first podium of the season. At the end, we are struggling a little bit with the front tire. We see many crashes, but well, I think we can manage it. It's always difficult, but I think the team and we did a really good job, and well, hope to get more like this.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
9 races to go in 2025, Neil. 54 points the gap between Mantovani and Hector Garzo. That could come down. This could be a tasty end, couldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, nothing is impossible. We have seen some pretty amazing comebacks in previous years in this category, not least when Garzo came back after a disastrous start to last year to take the championship.
Indeed. Will he be able to take it again? We're getting ready. I think Matteo Ferrari's in position. Can definitely see it. Elliot York is. Guys, down to you. Your new winner, the 5th of 2025.
Matteo, pole position, race 1 victory, a perfect weekend so far. Talk us through that race. It looked comfortable. I'm sure it wasn't as comfortable, but you're looking good.
Yeah, it was a difficult race in the start because the feeling in the front in the first lap was not the best one compared yesterday, but the temperature is a little bit different today. So I maintained the calm. I saw Mattia that passed me in turn 4, but he arrived very fast in turn 6. You know, a good speed, but in the first lap was a little bit too much. After I didn't see my pit board in the first 2 laps because there was a lot in the straight, so I didn't know my gap, but in the 3rd lap I see 1 second, so I said okay, I have to maintain this pace, comfortable pace. For sure for race 2 I know that Mattia will be there, so we have to work a little bit more with this temperature, but thanks to my team because they continue to believe in me every time, also to myself, to my family, because you know after a long period do a pole position and win a race is like incredible.
Great job, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Ciao.
Race 1 winner, Neil. Race 2 favourite?
I think he has to be. He was saying that Casadei will more than likely be up there, but after that crash in race 1, you have to imagine his confidence will have taken a bit of a beating. So yeah, we could be looking at first Matteo Ferrari double victory in quite some time.
Casadei, let's spare a thought for him. Obviously crashed out the lead again. That's unfortunate, and he's had a few crashes this year. He's been one of the riders who's crashed the most, let's say, back in Le Mans in the race, also in qualifying there as well. So that's 4 that we've seen on air. He's 6th in the championship. He is, by my maths, 36 points adrift of Andrea Mantovani. Now, by no means impossible. We were saying that Hector Garzo is in contention, so obviously so is Mattia Casadei. But if it does come down to a narrow victory and it doesn't go Casadei's way, those mistakes are going to be the points of the season where he will reflect and probably think a cooler head will have probably bagged me a few more points and possibly the title.
Yeah, could well have bagged him 2 more wins because 2nd place minimum was there for him in that race, you would have to say. As here is a replay, great replay right on cue.
Yeah.
Casadei losing the front, and it was interesting listening to Ferrari saying that just carried too much speed in there for the first lap, and yeah, that was the result. We obviously knew that this was a critical point on the track after a couple of high-profile crashes there yesterday for Baldassarri and Kevin Zannoni. And Casadei, a rider that's been around in this championship since 2019, the very beginning of MotoE. Frankly, a rider of his experience should be knowing it a little bit better.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be taken out on the air fence as well. We don't want a red flag if he deploys that through anger, that is for sure. We are getting ready for the podium then. Of course, it is going to be Eric Granado, Hector Garzo and Matteo Ferrari who join the podium in race 1 here. Matteo Ferrari, let's just talk about the championship as well. He moves up into 8th place at 42 points back, and he took some serious points out of Andrea Mantovani. 17 points is the damage done to that, so another 17 later on. I tell you what, it's game on, isn't it, for Ferrari if he can do it again?
Yeah, it really is. And you know, I don't want to speak ill of Andrea Mantovani because I'm a huge fan, but it's not
we
like...
all are.
We all are, exactly. But it's not like he's fought for a championship before, so you could be feasibly looking at someone like Zacconi as maybe the rider more likely to put a fully consistent campaign together. So I think if you're Gutierrez or Garzo or Ferrari 8th, 9th or 10th in the championship, or indeed Granado in 11th, you're probably looking at the deficit and thinking it is not completely out of the realms of possibility that we could haul that back. So what I'm trying to say is basically make sure you don't miss MotoE in the next couple of weeks, because we've got something very interesting coming up. You can see Eric Granado, the way he's descending those steps there, that he is still far from, I think, a normal person's fitness, you would say, but for a bike rider, able to do the business on the bike. But yeah, still a little bit careful when he's descending the stairs. But Matteo Ferrari did not put a foot wrong to take his first victory in 2 years. Brilliant stuff from the Italian.
Normally my problem's going up the stairs. That's what causes me a bit of pain, but that's just because of my stamina levels.
It's more cardio pain than anything.
Yeah, there's a pain somewhere, that's for sure. just on Andrea Mantovani, of course, he did salvage 8th from 12th, and there's a lot to be said for that. Kept a cool head, bought home points, and a round that he knows is not going to be his highest point scoring of the scoring one of the year.
Yep, absolutely. He limited the damage, did Mantovani, with a solid 8th position. But here is the winner's trophy, handed over to Matteo Ferrari for the first time this year, and that will taste extra sweet considering the last time that he was victorious in this class.
And you know what's coming next? It's the Italian national anthem for your winner, Matteo Ferrari. Ah, we all love the Italian national anthem, don't we? It is one of the cheerier ones. And, well, calm down, Matteo Ferrari. I can remember back in the days when Superbikes used to race twice on the same day. Spraying your fellow riders with Prosecco, probably not the best thing to do when they've got a race in just a few more hours. But Matteo Ferrari's going to celebrate that one, isn't he? We have got the results then for the first MotoE race of the day. Our 5th different winner in 5 races. What a season we are having in MotoE in 2025. Ferrari, Garza, Granado, Gutierrez and Baldassarri, a top 5. A fantastic result. I can't emphasise that enough. From Tibor, Eric Varga, hell of Alessandro Ciccone as well. So that is a real scalp. Mantovani comes through for 8th, Spinelli 9th. Jordi Torres, well, podiums in 2025, only 10th ahead of Finello, Hosiuk, Zanoni, Bernardi, Fusco, the last point scorer, Herrera and Occhi. They're out the points 16th and 17th. Mantovani holds his championship lead, but it reduces by a point. He's got a 12-point advantage now over Alessandro Ciccone, but 4 riders now covered by less than a race win's worth of points. Baldassarri 24 back. Kevin Zanoni has moved up into 5th place. Casadei down to 6th. Ferrari and Hector Garzo and Granado 8th, 10th and 11th. Massive movers with their big point scorers, big points scored today, including Oscar Gutierrez as well. They're in 9th. It's all to play for in 2025 in MotoE. The team standings, the Power Electronics Aspar team hold on to their advantage. I can tell you in 2nd place it is the Clint Forward Factory team. Then it's Dynavolt Intact, the Aruba Cloud team and the LCR-E team. As we run it incorrectly once again, but that doesn't matter because now you know what is in 2nd place. It is the Clint Forward Factory team. 4 points adrift, I can tell you, over Power Electronics Aspar team. 109 versus 105. You can't see it on your graphics, but that is what it is. And that is all for race 1. I'm going to get out the comms box. So from myself, Kiko Giles, that is all. But Neil Morrison stays put because we've got some qualifying coming up in Moto 3. Lewis Suddery jumping in the hot seat. See you later, 4 o'clock local time for MotoE race 2. But enjoy the rest of the day's action. Goodbye.